Hello everyone, this is Captain Kaboom, and this is the second video in my behind-the-scenes series of how I produce and create my YouTube videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make good-looking and effective thumbnails. And before I begin, I'd like to mention that the previous video is about screen recording, so if you haven't seen that, you can go check that out if you are interested. So, let's begin. First of all, to make your thumbnails, you are going to need a photo editing software. Some of you might already have Photoshop or something like that. If you do not, I recommend GIMP. GIMP is free and open source, and it is available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. So it is pretty much available to all of you guys. Here's what the layout looks like. It's very similar to Photoshop. You have your canvas and your toolbox and tool options and layers. So it shares a lot of similarities with Photoshop. Next, you will probably want to install some new and different fonts to put text in your thumbnails. Text is very important in thumbnails. If you want to highlight certain phrases, put the title in your thumbnail, or if you can't fit stuff in your YouTube title, you can put some extra words in the thumbnail. Just anything that'll make it stand out to the audience, to potential viewers. So, most computers come with fonts already installed, but, you know, a lot of times those are default fonts, everyone's seen them, and they're boring. So, I recommend using these two sites, and of course there's lots of other font sites. And so from these sites, DaFont and neatfonts.com, you can download all of these really cool fonts for free. And then, of course, you will probably use Google. And in Google, you can just search backgrounds or any images that you're going to use in your thumbnail. So oftentimes, I will either screenshot a scene from my video and then maybe put some text on that, touch it up or something. But what I also do is just look up backgrounds on Google to use for my thumbnails. So here I'm looking for a blue textured background, and a useful tool that you can use is the search tools within Google. You can say, oh, I want a picture larger than 2 megapixels, which is 1600 by 1200, slightly smaller than 1080p HD. And so all the pictures here are going to be probably larger, higher quality pictures. And so I'm just looking for a background that I want. Once you find a nice background that you'd like to use, just click View Image, and then you can simply drag it to your desktop. If it takes you to a website, you can just right-click on the image and save the image as to your desktop or wherever you'd like to save it to. So this is the name of our file right here, lightbluetexture.jpg. Now we're going to go into GIMP, open up GIMP, and you go to File, Open, and we go to the desktop, and here we have it, the light blue texture. Open that. And here we go, we have it in our canvas. And so now we have our nice background, and we want to add some images. So I'm actually going to be creating the thumbnail for this actual video. So it's going to be called, how to make thumbnails in GIMP. So for that, I'm going to look up the GIMP logo. So I'm just going to look up the GIMP logo and find a good quality image of that. Wikipedia has a great image right here, so I can just drag this to the desktop. I will hide this again. And then we go again, open, and this time open as layers. And this one already has the background cleared, and so that's very useful. So actually, if you have an image where the background is not already clear and you'd like to erase the background, it's pretty simple to do. Let's just find, here we go. So here's the logo, and it's just with a white background. We have our white background right there. And so what you do is you go into GIMP, and we'll just open it. We don't want to open it as layers. We'll just open it separately here. And so you open your image, and it has a white background. What you do is you go to Layers, Transparency, and Add Alpha Channel. If Add Alpha Channel is not selectable, then that means it already has an alpha channel. You click the magic wand, this fuzzy select tool, and just click the color that you want to erase, and then go to Edit Clear or Backspace on your keyboard, and that will just magically erase all of that solid color. Now, if you have a background that's not a solid color, it's just like a normal image or something, you'll probably have to go in with an eraser. Make sure that you have your brush hardness all the way up and just erase around the part that you'd like. You can also use the free select tool, so you can make a selection around it, and then it'll give you the option to delete everything around that selection. Alright, so then we have our background completely clear, and then we can just go File, save the image as your project. You can save your project file, or you can, if you don't care about your project file, you're probably not going to go back to edit it later, you can just export it straight to the desktop as a different image, replace it, and then compression level, I'll just put that down to 0 to keep the quality good. And so we'll just close without saving because we're probably not coming back to that. So then you have this image here. I believe that's, no, this might be the one we saved. Yeah, it's this one. And so then you can go to File, Open as Layers, and then open the image that you just erased the background of. And there you go. Now it has a clear background and it looks great. So this one I'm just going to delete though, because I already have this large one. And so next, moving your image, moving images and scaling them up. This is the scale tool right here. You select your image and drag the corners. Now as you see here, I'm distorting the image like this. If you don't want that to happen, then you click this lock, and that'll lock the width and height together so that you can only scale it proportionally. And so you probably want to use that. You can scale the image up. Obviously you don't want to scale it up too much because then it starts getting blurry or pixelated. And then you move your image to the part of the thumbnail that you want. Now, a useful hint that I recommend following, this rule I always use, is try not to put any images in this general area of the picture, because in your YouTube thumbnail, that is where the YouTube timecode is going to go. The length of the video is going to go right there. It's just going to be a big black box, black rectangle with the white text inside. And so if you put anything small right there, it's going to get covered up. So don't put anything important right there. So next, we're probably going, oh wait, let's go select none. We can get rid of that box there, that's annoying. Next, you probably want to put in some large text. And so you drag your text box open here, and then you type in the title. So I'm just going to put thumbnails, because that is a good keyword to have, thumbnails. And obviously, as you can see, it's very small. So I'm going to increase the size a lot. I'd say that's probably good. And then see, this is a very boring font. It's boring, it's generic, and so I have some fonts installed. So I like to use the TF2 font a lot. Actually, wait, I didn't highlight the text. Oops. I actually like to use the TF2 font a lot. I like it. So to install fonts in GIMP, you download the font from the website. So let's say I want to use the Transformers font for some reason. If I'm making some Transformers spoof, I click download, and then once it's downloaded, let's hide the window, and let's hide the GIMP window too. So once it's downloaded, you go to your downloads and you'll probably have a zip file right here. And so just open the zip file. Once that's open, you'll get a folder. You can open the folder, and what you're going to want is the TTF file. You can ignore all this other stuff, the text file or whatever. You just want the TTF file. That is the font file. So we can just delete this. And then, actually, sometimes I think they might be OTFs, but TTF is the most common. That's going to be your file ending extension, whatever it's called. So we have our Transformers font file. So you go into Finder. On Windows, you'll probably need to type in %appdata% in your run function in Start. Basically, we need to find our GIMP folder. The GIMP folder is in the library. So we hit Go, hold down the Option key, and library pops up here. Here we go. In the library, we've got the GIMP folder in all caps, GIMP 2.8, and then right here, fonts. And so once we have this folder open, you just drag the font into your GIMP fonts folder, and there you go. Now, if you do this while GIMP is open, you will probably need to restart GIMP. So what I'm going to do is save our project file, and we will call this GIMP thumbnail, and save it to the desktop. And so then we'll just X out of this, and GIMP is closed. Then we'll just double click this again, and GIMP reopens. And here we go. So now that font is installed, so if I wanted to use the Transformers font, then I should be able to go in here, just type in TR Transformers bold. There, it shows up, and we've got our Transformers font. Alright, so now we have our text here, but it's still kind of boring. It's just black. What I like to do is make it look kind of more three-dimensional, give it a drop shadow. And so you go to your layer, your text layer, right-click on it, and hit Duplicate Layer. So now we've duplicated the text. So you want to you select one of the text layers, we'll highlight it. This is the top layer, and let's make it orange, because I think if I put orange over blue, it's going to look good. Orange is the complementary color to blue, opposite on the color wheel. So this should stand out a lot. And then we have that text layer orange, and then we can just drag it down like so with the Move tool right here. And that's already looking pretty good. Next, I might want to put in GIMP. So I'll make a new text box here. Okay, so we're making a new text box. Let's type in GIMP. So now we have thumbnails, we've got GIMP. Let's just add some extra text in here just to complete the title. Okay, so another tip is when you're making thumbnails, I think it's more visually interesting when you give your images some depth. And so by that I mean layering your images to make them look like they're kind of in 3D space. So for example, this text, it looks like it's in front and it has this shadow behind it. Another way to give your image more depth would be to put text or images slightly overlapping things like this. So like making the word GIMP kind of cover the image a little bit. I think giving it that three-dimensionality, you know, really helps getting the audience's attention. Another thing is when you have your title text, you can make it different sizes. It doesn't have to be the same size. You can make the more important words larger. So obviously thumbnails and GIMP are very important words. I'm probably going to go and make the word GIMP larger, but how to make, that's not super important. I'm going to have it in the title. People will see that anyway. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so that I'll squeeze this in here, and then I can make the word thumbnails pop out a little bit more. Another thing is make sure to give yourself a little bit of room on the edges, because depending on where your image is popping up or whatever, the edges it's possible that they might get cropped off. So just give yourself a little bit of room. Like this image of the GIMP logo, it doesn't really matter too much, if the paintbrush or part of the nose gets cropped off, but the text, you want the text to be full. And so I'm gonna move this down a little bit because I think that's getting a little bit too close to the edge. And actually, I'm going to move this down here so it will match my other font's shadows. And there we go. How to make thumbnails with GIMP. We've got that all right here. And so I noticed we've got some blank space here. It's okay to have blank space here. We don't want anything. We don't want the time to be covering anything, but I want to put some stuff in there. So I think I'm going to alright, so we have our title with the shadows going this way. We've got the word free with the shadows going this way, just kind of to visually show that it's kind of separate from the title. I'm trying to put it off to the side. I might tilt it with the check mark, maybe. We'll see how that looks. So this is the rotation tool. You click the text, and so if you drag this, it'll rotate, but then you'll get some weird decimals. So I'm gonna make it a nice round number, maybe -20. I think that is, let's go -30. There we go. So I'll rotate that, -30. Make sure to rotate the background as well. Okay, so now we have text. We've got all the colors looking nice. We have the GIMP logo. I think this is looking pretty good. Not much more to add. I think I am done. So once you're done, you probably want to save the image. You want to save your project file in case you need to bring it up again later, edit your thumbnail or whatever, anything like that. So save it to the desktop, replace our old save, and then go to File, Export, and we will export it to the desktop as a PNG. Compression level 0. We want this to look nice for now. When we are uploading the thumbnail to YouTube, YouTube only accepts file sizes of up to 2 megabytes, so we might need to compress our file size, compress our image, but for now we will just export it as the full image. So here it is in all of its glory, and now we probably want to scale it down because YouTube thumbnails are tiny. So this is a huge 2560 by 1440. That is gigantic. You probably want to scale it down to something like 720p. So that would be 1280 by 720. And so now the file size should be a lot smaller. Only 1 megabyte. So that should upload to YouTube no problem. Now, if you have a very large image, it's got a bunch of effects or something inside it, for whatever reason, if you have your image larger than 2 megabytes, you've made it 720p, you've made it small, it's still a large file size, then simply just search PNG to JPEG, and then just convert your image online. Obviously, of course, you can export it from GIMP as a JPEG if you want to, and that'll have, JPEGs are a lossy format, so that means they will lose some data. They will compress the image. So if you export as JPEG, it'll just be a smaller file size, slightly lower quality, but your eyeballs will probably not notice. If you export it as a PNG to keep that quality, but then you realize you need to compress it later, just go to this website and choose the file. And where are we? Desktop. So here's the file, GIMP thumbnail.png, and you can choose best quality because it'll still reduce the file size a ton since this is converting PNG to JPEG. PNG is I'm pretty sure PNG is lossless, so that means that all the data of the images is there, not compressed at all. So then it automatically downloaded it, and then here we have our compressed version, and we will compare the file size of the two. Let's see the comparison. This is 750 kilobytes, 1,024 kilobytes into a megabyte, so it did take away a decent amount of data. So now we can upload either of these to YouTube. So if you were uploading a YouTube video, then you just click custom thumbnail and you upload your thumbnail. That is it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something, of course. Make sure to check out my OBS screen recording video. Very useful. I recorded this whole thing with OBS. So thanks for watching, and see you guys later.